We're in the Adapt Events studio, and I'm speaking with Alec Sharp, and we're going to discuss the workshop Working with Business Processes Masterclass. Alec, can you briefly describe the goal of this workshop?
Yes, I can, because I think the goals are quite clear. We wanted to provide proven, and that I mean proven in my 40-year consulting career, proven, repeatable, accessible, and simple methods for process change. Methods for process change that lead to implementable and sustainable processes. And this process change, it may specifically be because the organization needs to do some business process improvement. It might be process change driven by a software acquisition. It could be process change driven by some new technology, or just part of business analysis, because business analysis is all about change.
Okay.
And actually, let me just go a tiny bit further. The other goal was to provide an alternative to a lot of the methods and techniques that we saw published that were often bizarrely complex and top-heavy, and really not applicable in modern times, where people want lean, agile, responsive approaches. And I think we've achieved that.
Okay. Well, it's a 3-day workshop, but can you briefly walk us through the topics that you will cover during this workshop?
Sure. First of all, the workshop is a combination of 2 very popular 2-day workshops, our introductory Working with Business Processes class and our advanced business process techniques class. And we found this model has been very well received, because initially we get everybody on the same page, the same terminology, frameworks, outlook, and then we provide some really advanced techniques. Now, in the case of this workshop, this business process masterclass, initially what we want to do is share with people how to communicate about business process with the rest of the organization, certainly with executives who may be concerned or may be sponsoring this, but also with subject matter experts and individual contributors, because business process, everybody talks about process, but it is widely misunderstood. So we look at factors like, how do you actually objectively define what is a business process? What is the impact of performance measures, and so on? So that's that gets everybody in the class onto the same baseline of understanding and terminology. And then we go into a lot of very practical techniques. For instance, how do we actually objectively discover and scope an end-to-end business process? Sometimes an organization looks like everything is connected to everything else, but we have very practical methods for clarifying a process from the triggering event through the major activities through to final results. Then we take, in the 3rd section of the class, we take what we've learned so far and follow a real case study through the development of a process architecture. And this could be an enterprise-wide process architecture or something on a smaller scale. So we look at some of the traditional techniques, value chains, off-the-shelf frameworks, and so on, and then add our unique spin on it. That was based on a very successful case study. And then we also look at some broader challenges with a section on how to help people recognize the need for change and embrace it. So we look at 7 specific techniques that we can apply that encourage support for change. Then we will look at, I call it human-centered process modeling. There are many far too technical and far too complex modeling techniques out there. So we show some techniques to very quickly engage business people in producing very useful process models in agile timeframes. And finally, this all leads up to a section on process design. or redesign. And what's unique here is we take a feature-based approach, which my clients pointed out to me. I had been doing this for a long time, but my clients pointed out that this is a very agile approach because you can introduce one or two features, let those settle in while you work on the next couple of features. So it's a relatively new course, but it has been, the reviews have been extremely popular.
Okay. And what are the job titles that you typically see attending this course? Or who is it intended for?
Well, recently, it's been, well, business analysts are the primary audience. They've always been the primary audience for a lot of our workshops, but of course, business process professionals. So we get a lot of process architects, a lot of process change, and a lot of organizational change people come to the class. And that is in addition to business people, subject matter experts, project managers, program leaders who need practical techniques. There's a lot of synergy between what we cover in this course for business analysts and process change people and for project managers. PMs tend to really like this workshop. So it has quite a wide appeal.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you very much, Alec.